Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got countries freezing FTX assets. Stuart Alderoty speaks his mind on the case and what's happening with the SEC. Cascading effects continue for FTX. We're going to talk about what victim is in the firing line here. And we got the White House stepping in now, poised for intervening into crypto. We're going to get you that. And then you're going to see 2 amicus briefs for the SEC and 1 legal analyst who takes a look at them and shares his thoughts. You're going to want every single bit of it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for exclusive content. $915 billion market cap for crypto. We're up 4.5% this morning. Good morning, everybody. Right now, however, Bitcoin, 17,300 plus. Still off by more than 14% on the 7-day. Ethereum, 1293 and change, and it's off by 15.5 on the 7-day. XRP is 39 cents this morning. It's off by 12.9% on the 7-day, and 5.7% of that pulled back onto the price in the last 24 hours. We'll keep an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done it, if you're already a customer of Uphold, click the link underneath the video because you can now earn up to 25% APY while staking. Not to mention the fact that if you're accredited, you can go to link to use your Uphold wallet and buy private equity with your XRP. This is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. Keep an eye out. There's not a ton of Ripple right now. If you're accredited and you want Ripple SPVs and shares, you better get it right here, right now. And I tell you, the same thing goes for Uphold. And the amazing things they're doing, you could actually invest in the company and own shares of the company, as I do myself. I tell you, I love being a customer and I love working with Link2. This is just remarkable. Keep an eye out. Look at this. Link2 is hard to get a hold of and keep on the platform. People understand how amazing Link2 is to be able to bring all of these projects to us and companies to make them available. Remarkable, remarkable. Click the link underneath the video. Check out my sponsor. Let's start right here. Let's get going here. It is John Deaton this morning. Shout out to the field general. By the way, he came out and he said, in the matter of USD Tether catching a lot of heat about not being legit, he said, if you're legit, contact me and I'll defend you and we'll get this straight and clear the air about USD Tether. And you know what? I've been extremely critical of USD Tether because for a very long time, they've been promising transparency and have yet to deliver it when it comes to their reserves. Yesterday, they released an attestation. And I just want to say this because we're talking about, if I could, very quickly here, just, this matters because this market is getting beat up a lot. And the reason I'm talking about it is because USD Tether has a $72 billion volume right now. A $68 billion market cap. That's what we're talking about. So it matters about whether their reserves are legit. And you know what? I hope that they are because John Deaton's offered to help them. And if they are legit, I promise to help clear the air about it as well. So I hope that Tether reaches out to them. And how about that? You can't be any more fair and objective when it comes to that. I've been extremely critical. But if Tether is clean and their nose is clean and their books are clean, reach out to John Deaton. He'll help you out. The SEC, however, fails to do its job to protect the retail digital asset holder over and over and over, says John Deaton. He's absolutely right. And we know this because we now have evidence that it emerged that proved that Gary Gensler met with the mastermind of what may be one of the biggest frauds in American history at Sam Bankman-Fried before the $14 billion collapse of FTX. Members of Congress have already been informed, alleging that Gensler was working with Bankman-Fried to get regulatory free pass, establish a crypto monopoly. This is not the first time Gensler had been under an ethical cloud, like when he was the subject of an inspector general investigation as chairman of the CFTC. It's time for a full congressional investigation of Gensler's possible role in one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. I strongly urge you to write to the committee overseeing the SEC and demand that an immediate investigation be started. The American people deserve nothing less than the truth. Please go to cryptolawus.us and connect to your Congress tab. It takes 30 seconds, and it really does. It may be even less. And it really, really is something we all should be doing. I certainly have. If you haven't, do it. Now we see other countries and financial agencies jumping in now. Japan's Financial Service Agency has ordered FTX Japan to suspend operations and put together a business improvement plan after the exchange halted customer withdrawals. It just gets worse. Bahamas Securities Commission has frozen the assets of FTX Digital Markets and related parties. There we have it. But we've got some fallout too, and it's outside of the company, and we're going to talk about it in just a second. The countdown begins until SEC sues an exchange in the United States. John Deaton has told us this was coming for over 6 months. He will use FTX as the justification to hurt American businesses. He will show no mercy. And I hope that Warren Davidson, Tom Emmer, and Patrick McHenry are ready. I hope they are too, John, because I tell you what, we hear a lot of lip service and I don't see a lot of action. You're a man of action, John Deaton, and so am I. And it gets hard to watch when all of these representatives like Davidson and Emmer and Patrick McHenry have such a clear vision of what's going on, but yet it falls short when it comes to taking action. And I hope that we see that happen very soon. Stuart Alderoty shares his thoughts as well. He says the only runaway that's running out is these worn out and frankly false talking points from the SEC chair Gary Gensler. His insistence on elevating the SEC's quest for power over effective regulation in this country is creating deep financial damage. Well said. Chair Gensler has failed time and again to actually protect anyone, but keeps crowing about Kim Kardashian, why the lines in bankruptcy courts grows longer for consumers. This insanity must stop. It really must. And I tell you, and it continues. Frank Chaparro reports here that BlockFi says it can no longer operate its business as usual, pausing clients' withdrawals. This is obviously systemic, this collapse from FTX and Alameda Research, stemming now into BlockFi's business. Frank Chaparro reports here, we are shocked and dismayed by the news regarding FTX and Alameda. This comes from BlockFi. 2 days before that, we saw this. Products are fully operational at BlockFi. BlockFi is an independent business entity. We have over 400 million line of credit from FTX and will remain an independent entity until at least July 2023. And now they got to freeze and pause their operations. When you think about the idea of, maybe big legacy firm backers backing Sam Bankman-Fried to collapse and crash this market, providing a black swan event, if Congress doesn't come in, then who does? FSOC and the White House, maybe? Tell me that this does not look like a posturing for the administration or Congress or FSOC to come in and intervene into crypto. You tell me.
Without proper oversight, cryptocurrencies, it risks harming everyday Americans. So this is something that clearly we monitor and that we see as an important issue.
I do too. And I just want to jump in really quickly and go, but however, we wouldn't be in this situation if Gary Gensler, when he met with the largest Democratic Party donor for crypto, which was Sam Bankman-Fried in March 29 of 2022, and actually went over what they were doing for leverage and credit. But I digress.
But the most recent news further underscores these concerns and highlights why prudent regulation of cryptocurrencies is indeed needed. The White House, along with the relevant agencies, will again closely monitor the situation as it develops.
You know, we're the children. I always use this analogy. Well, we're doing it for the children. It's always for the children. You know, it's this condescending, attitude of, retail investors don't know what they're doing. We're too stupid to know what we're doing. We can go to a casino and blow everything you've ever made in your life, but you can't invest without having some kind of regulatory oversight or some kind of hurdle where rich people get in and you don't, right? But the reality here is Gary Gensler actually did his job while meeting with the largest Democratic Party donor for crypto. If he actually drilled down into the books at what was going on at FTX, you may not see the White House spokesperson giving this remark here yesterday. How about that? However, outside of the United States, it's always good to remind ourselves Brazil is making great strides in Web3 and crypto adoption. I just want to give you this very quickly here. This is about Travelex Bank, which we knew about in Brazil. And it says Brazil is setting the pace when it comes to adoption of crypto. In fact, Latin American nations is one of the top 10 fastest adopters of crypto in the world. And this year, crypto-enabled payment solutions were introduced to the country via Ripple's partnership with Travelex Bank, the first bank in LATAM to utilize Ripple's cross-border payment solution for faster, more affordable remittances and international payments. Now, this is the kind of scenario I like to see, because this is the kind of scenario when you see one getting the benefit and the competitor across the street doesn't have the same benefit. What do you think is going to happen over time? There's going to be a tipping point. I think it's going to create what I believe Naveen Gupta refers to as step change. Then there's this, the old SEC versus Ripple case. We have two amicus brief filings, ladies and gentlemen. These came in support of the SEC. Upon looking at them, it felt, look, there's a cynical part of me, that's for sure. I think you all listened to me long enough to know that I absolutely am in this space, not just as an investor, but a wild speculator. And if you're hearing my voice, there is a degree to you that is the same as me. You can't just be an investor if you're in digital assets, because it's a new, unknown, emerging asset class, we believe. And make sure we all understand we believe. Belief is not fact. And it's good to remind ourselves of that sometimes, right? But the reality here for me is simply this. I am a speculator in this space, and when I saw these filings in support of the SEC, I am no lawyer, but I saw some references to the Reeves test in there. There's even references in one of these filings, actually the one we're looking at here, where it talks about grandfathering in XRP holders, making it accredited investor only, and grandfathering in non-accredited XRP holders. I mean, there's so much here. What in the world is going on? Well, let me just quickly, I'm not going to go through all of this, but I just want to touch this. They do talk about in this particular brief a Ripple decentralization test, and this actually gives 4 factors that I think are relevant. However, the brief's all over the place, but I don't think anybody's going to say it any better than Jeremy Hogan. We're going to hear from him in a second. But it says here, you could use 4 factors to set up what they call a Ripple decentralization test, which is central control, utility, payment ownership structure, and breadth of ownership. Actually, not bad there, I thought, on that one. But then there was, I think it was this one. Oh, this is where it says that basically, rule for SEC in their final judgment of it. And then there was another one there. I may have it wrong, but what I want to get to you is this now, because with all of the filing in support of the SEC, this is what Jeremy Hogan had to say, and it really made me feel a lot better hearing someone like Jeremy respond this way. He said, if I were Ripple's lawyer, I'd ask for an additional 5 pages to my last brief in order to address this amicus brief, and then just ignore it, and I got 5 more pages for argument. That he's not feeling this brief, ladies and gentlemen. Sherry here says, interesting, you haven't mentioned that Ripple shouldn't mention VeriDAO, the Veritas or Veritasium token, within their reply. Anyways, I am the same opinion that this amicus brief should be ignored. Then Jeremy Hogan said, there are no new facts or perspectives it's bringing to court. I wonder if the lawyer is even admitted in federal court. James K. Filan, Jim comes in and says, I didn't see pro havoc vice motion really asking the court for participation because they're not in their jurisdiction. Craig DeWitt, formerly of Ripple from Super Mojo, he says here, never forget the pro hack vice motion. Yeah, can't forget that. So there's a lot here to understand and take in. And let me just check this out real quick. But this was just some of the talk aside from the Ripple decentralization test. But they were talking about how to, and now to also keep in mind that this company that filed this Amicus is a company that verifies people to be accredited investors or not. So then they came up with this whole layout here about how, they shouldn't wipe out the Ripple XRP holder and the token itself. And what they should do is require that investors be accredited. But this would most likely be too cumbersome because it's gone on for so long. Not accredited investors would be unfairly hurt, which is true to that point. And initial holding period, Reg D fundraise is 1 year. This way, the investors should be grandfathered in a sale, be subject to exemption after the fact that minimizes industry disruption. You know what? Which basically suggests to me like some kind of lockout period if you do choose to be grandfathered in. That's what it seems like. But again, Jeremy recognizes here, but again, just very grateful to have Jeremy Hogan's insights here and everybody else that chimed in, Jim as well. He said here in this Invest Already, he said, amicus brief for the SEC Invest Ready is a company that confirms who is and is not accredited and whose business would benefit from a ruling in favor of the SEC here. I've picked up on that too. I actually had a conversation with somebody yesterday about that. Big Skinny, I think it was. Shout out to Big Skinny. The legal problem I have with this brief is that it brings no new facts, just legal argument. And then he says here, please don't email or call this company. It doesn't help. And this company has a legal right to submit amicus just like everyone else. That's exactly right. And then Ashley Proper says there's barely any legal argument. It's all opinion and suggestion. Jeremy Hogan says, I might have been too generous when I said legal argument. It doesn't seem the attorney has really litigated a case before. Is he even admitted in federal court? Then the person who apparently wrote it answers back and says, I am not a litigator at all. Just tried my best to put this together in a few hours. Jeremy Hogan says, I appreciate your candor, but a lot of people and businesses have their livelihoods riding on this decision. You obviously don't understand the facts or law of the case. Perhaps a withdrawal of the brief is in order. Go Jeremy Hogan. A withdrawal of the brief is in order. Jeez, I'll tell you what. Shots fired, ladies and gentlemen. That is good stuff right there. Then we had this one come in late yesterday evening. This company's not even in the crypto space. It's NSEI, the New Sports Economy Institute. And David Schwartz, I think, says it best here. Are they seriously arguing that stock in the 80 or S&P 500 companies or never been paid a dividend and do not intend to ever pay? This thing's all over the place too. There's no question. I can't even with this one. I mean, I looked at it last night and it is literally all over the place. Then I had this for you that I wanted you to see. which it does, however, inside of this, which I find very interesting now. The summary judgment from the SEC had Reeves test in it. Summary judgment motion objection to Ripple from the SEC again had the Reeves test in it. Remember this summer, Matthew Solomon, Brad Garlinghouse's lawyer, on stage with Steve Buchholz, trying to dig in and having an inside back and forth with Steve Buchholz over Reeves versus Young in the Reeves test. And whether these things are valid or not and carry their weight, they are, in fact, in these amicus filings here, referencing the Reeves test as well. And I find it very interesting only because the Reeves test is really a way of determining when something is a note, whether it's a security note or whether it's just a note like money. And then the other part that has always intrigued me about this being referenced so often is the fact that it seems to be a broad brush outside of the Howey test, that if I understand Reeves versus Ernst & Young is basically saying any money scheme that doesn't involve an investment contract. And I believe that's why it gets referenced so much. And it's why I try to pay very close attention to it, because I don't know how the judge will or won't react to that case law being cited. So there we have it. That's where we are on this Friday. Things are getting wild and wacky, but you know what? It's crypto. You never know. Head on a swivel. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.